President-elect Trump has said that his biggest priority in the cabinet is the Attorney General for all of the legal reasons and vows that he's made. So today's loss of Matt Gaetz withdrawing from the Attorney General nomination is a sudden and stark rebuke of Donald Trump's plans. And let's be clear, for all the spin, and Michael Steele was reminding us of some of the Republican spin in Washington, Trump was expending political capital fresh off his victory, making this the thing. And Trump, who is, if nothing else, very PR-focused, through his aides, had told multiple outlets that he was calling, that he was pushing, that he personally was going to make this happen. It had become a test of his initial power. It was viewed as a kind of a stress test or strength test.
Are you reconsidering the nomination of Matt Gaetz?
No.
How far are you willing to go to get him confirmed?
NBC reports that when Trump first made the pick, Matt Gaetz said this whole thing is going to be an uphill battle, but Trump told Gaetz he wanted this fight, a fight that he just lost decisively and completely today. We are joined by Jason Johnson and Juanita Tolliver, two of our friends here. Jason, I've heard notes of nuance and skepticism from guests tonight, almost to the point that we might be doing the media thing where we've gotten so far past the headline. We're chopping up the post-game story, but the core breaking news headline tonight, Jason, is Trump lost. If there was a honeymoon period, perhaps through extreme picks, he has certainly muddied it. Your views on that angle?
Well, Ari, I agree with you, and I agree with some of that criticism. I'm very adamant we're not going to spend the next 4 years doing like court intrigue of, the people trying to play power plays. Objectively, it is a loss for Trump. But it is a loss for Trump not because of policy, not because Matt Gaetz was too extreme, not because he represented something that people were afraid of being associated with. Matt Gaetz was rejected because he didn't have any friends. People don't like the guy. Remember, this is the person that Mike McCarthy said is the Hunter Biden of the Republican Party. Right? So when you have spent most of your congressional career insulting people personally, that is something they can't abide by.
But that's let me jump in and I'll let you continue. I'll let you continue, Jason. But that is part of the raw math and the politics. I did a breakdown of that earlier in the week, saying you attack this many people and then you need them. It's not going to work very well in politics. But I don't know if you've ever been on the app TikTok, Jason, and seen the saying, "A win is a win is a win." Have you ever seen that one? There's a viral one, and then people will voice it to make the point. Well, here for Donald Trump, even if this is just a one-day thing, even if we don't know who comes in next, and we have to be as vigilant reporting the facts and vetting everyone, fair, open-minded, but clear about what the facts are. The open-minded, fair reading of the facts on this case were very bad, which so many Republicans mentioned. But this would seem to be, Jason, a loss is a loss is a loss.
It is, but I guess I'm from the perspective of I never necessarily thought that Matt Gaetz was a sincere pick. Trump can call all he wants, but I suspect that there were many, many people who are lined up to come after him who won't be as offensive, who might actually be more effective. So while it might be a loss in the battle, I don't necessarily think it's a victory in the war against what may be an AG that ushers in an authoritarian type of presidency that attacks the fundamental rights of American citizens.
Juanita?
Look, when we talk about a loss here, I want to zoom out for a little bit of additional context about the other people who have questionable profiles like Matt Gaetz, who Donald Trump is putting up. And I see a lot of conversation today around, oh, this is a red line because, the ethics report, the claims of sexual encounters with a minor that Matt Gaetz had, or the reporting that he withdrew 45 minutes after getting a call about a follow-up story related to that testimony that's featured in the ethics report, as well as civil lawsuits down in Texas. But keep in mind, Donald Trump is someone who has been found liable of sexual assault. He is surrounding himself with other people who have faced these same accusations, whether it's his pick for the DOD, whether it's pick with this made-up government efficiency agency, or even Health and Human Services. These are all people who have been accused of sexual misconduct or sexual assault. And I think it's a tonal shift that aligns with what Donald Trump did on the campaign trail and appealing to angry men, appealing to men who think they've been done wrong or targeted.
Well, let me ask you to build on that, Juanita, because you're making sense. But in the campaign, they said, oh, well, if we have enough of these votes and we have this theory, we can win and move on. And that worked in the electoral system we have. But they are not running a campaign now. They're 2 years out from the next one. Right. They've got a third of the Republican Senate caucus is in 6-year terms that outlast Trump's term. And so the math may be changing faster than they realize. USA Today had a piece, I'm going to put the headline up, Juanita, that relates to what you're saying, where they questioned whether in this new era, this Trump era, does sexual misconduct allegations get completely overlooked? They certainly hurt Matt Gaetz. It seems at least, would you say, an open question, Juanita, for both fact-based people across the country and the Democratic opposition over whether you can yoke some of these nominees to these Republican senators, make it actually hard on them. Are you really voting for this kind of person with this kind of record? Because then it's the same as Gaetz. Do you think that's an avenue that should be where they should be on offense?
100%. I think call it out, list these individuals' background, list the accusations. I think the energy we saw from Susan Wild, even after the ethics committee, it was reported that the ethics committee was not releasing the report, and Representative Gaetz went out and said, oh, we agreed, we're not releasing the report. Susan Wild went out there and handed it back to him and was like, look, the reality is we are split. This is a bipartisan panel that did not agree about this. We have another date set. And she shined a clear light for the American public on exactly what's happening behind the scenes while Republicans are out here trying to tell a PR story, trying to gloss over this, trying to move past it. Don't let them move past it. Make this toxic to them. Because let's be real, midterms is when Democrats have the next opportunity in order to organize and turn out voters and with a clear message. Now, will this be the message? I'm not sure. But what you can do right now is make sure that the public has explicit clarity and transparency over the individuals that Donald Trump is putting up, he is attempting to normalize this culture as someone who was found liable of sexual assault in civil court himself.
Jason?
I don't think this is generalizable because I think Matt Gaetz was an outlier at the level at which he insulted people and the scandal. Let's be clear. Remember, it was just 2 years ago. This guy was in a rap video, remember, with a MAGA rapper calling himself the chosen one that was so offensive it got taken off of YouTube.
I never saw that, Jason. I'm just going to I never saw that.
I don't say this to be glib. I don't say this to be funny. The man is essentially being accused of running like a congressional version of Diddy parties, right? That is way beyond what a lot of other people have been accused of. And I'm not saying that anyone who is accused of inappropriate behavior with women or men or children should be in a position of trust and authority. But I think the combination of how blatant and how toxic his behavior was, in addition to his bad behavior with his own colleagues, made him someone who could be easily removed. I don't know that that's going to apply to Hegseth. I don't know that that applies to Tulsi Gabbard. Stephen Miller's already in. Corey Lewandowski may came, but Steve Bannon might be able to get himself a position. I don't know that Gaetz is really a test case for what you can do, given how problematic he was at so many levels.
I do want to jump in and say how reasonable I agree with that.
Okay, real quick. Go ahead.
I was going to say, everybody's saying this is a stress test for Republicans in the Senate. I completely disagree. They are not going to pull this stunt again. So, Jason, we are fully aligned on that in terms of how it will affect the other nominees Trump is putting up.
Right, and that goes to both your points and related to what Michael Steele mentioned earlier. If the opposition was soft, if it was hidden, and if it was largely built on bad blood, which we've been covering all week, then yes, that doesn't necessarily have a repeat or a precedent for these other officials. Having said that, it's our job to also say, hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what information comes out, and we'll see what the people decide. So, Jason and Juanita, thanks to both of you.